नमः गुणसंभवाय शिवताण्डवाय नमः शिवाय सर्वेश्वराय चन्द्रभूषणाय नमः शिवाय सर्वेश्वराय चन्द्रभूषणाय नमः हराय परिपूजिताय गुहवन्दिताय नमः हराय परिपूजिताय गुहवन्दिताय नमः शिवाय परमेश्वराय शशिशेखराय नमः शिवाय परमेश्वराय शशिशेखराय नमः भवाय गुणसंभवाय शिवताण्डवाय नमः भवाय गुणसंभवाय शिवताण्डवाय नमः शिवाय भवभञ्जनाय मृत्युञ्जयाय नमः शिवाय भवभञ्जनाय मृत्युञ्जयाय नमः हराय वृषभध्वजाय भक्तप्रियाय नमः हराय वृषभध्वजाय भक्तप्रियाय नमः शिवाय परमेश्वराय शशिशेखराय नमः शिवाय परमेश्वराय शशिशेखराय नमः भवाय गुणसंभवाय शिवताण्डवाय नमः भवाय गुणसंभवाय.
Hello, friends. I'm again here talking to you. Thank you so very much. We have collected quite a bit. There are some few people still left if they want to, and I'll be available till 6:30, quarter to 7. Then I have to give the money to the office. Second thing is for tomorrow's ceremony, as we said, again there'll be only one class, 9 to 10, and at 10:30 will be the Guru Dakshina ceremony. I think yesterday there was a little confusion. I had bad headache this morning. So Swamiji, Swamini will be sitting here. And as I requested, if anybody wants to say a few words for 1 to 2 minutes for Swami or Swamini ji, I can have 3 names. One name I already gotten, but 2 more people, if they are interested to say something, they can give me their name. And what we will do is, because as people are sitting in the center, because the prasad distribution starts, and so keep an order to, in orderly manner. We will let the people who are sitting in the front here, they get up in a line and then offer their Guru Dakshina as well as get the prasadam and leave. Then we will start with the Swamis. We could start with the Swamis first, but people sitting in the center will be a little bit hurdle. So then we will have the Swaminis and sitting on that side in that order. Then we will go to this side, the front row to the middle, the back, front, back, and then come back from there, going this way, then come to this section, so that we will have an order of, in line, people coming and offering as well as getting the prasadam. So we will, hopefully somebody will also volunteer and help. But this is the way that somebody was asking me how it is going to go. I said, okay, I'll announce it. But if any questions, I can answer it. Yes, if you're traveling, then either sit somewhere, in the down here, or whichever way you can be one of the to expedite the situation. That's but the lunch is same at 12 o'clock. There's no, sorry, 12:30, not earlier lunch or anything. So we might have time between 10:30 to 12:30, whatever preparations you have to make for those people who are to leave. Yes, a morning meditation, then breakfast, then first class, and then At 10 o'clock that will finish, and then 10:30 we'll start the ceremony. Any other questions? No. Thank you.
महादेव शिव शंकर शंभो उमाकांत हर त्रिपुरारे।
ओम महादेव शिव शंकर शंभो उमाकांत हर त्रिपुरारे।
मृत्युंजय वृषभध्वज शूलिन गंगाधर मृड मदनारे।
मृत्युंजय वृषभध्वज शूलिन गंगाधर मृडमदनारे।
हर शिव शंकर गौरीशं वंदे गंगाधरमीशं।
हर शिव शंकर गौरीशं वंदे गंगाधरमीशं।
रुद्रं पशुपतिमीशानं कलये काशीपुरीनाथं।
रुद्रं पशुपतिमीशानं कलये काशीपुरीनाथं।
जय शंभो जय
पशुपतिमीशानं
शंभो शिव गौरी शंकर जय शंभो।
जय शंभो शिव गौरी शंकर जय शंभो।
जय शंभो शिव गौरी शंकर जय शंभो।
जय शंभो शिव गौरी शंकर जय शंभो।
ओम महादेव शिव शंकर शंभो उमाकांत हर त्रिपुरारे।
ओम महादेव शिव शंकर शंभो उमाकांत हर त्रिपुरारे।
मृत्युंजय वृषभध्वज शूलिन गंगाधर मृड मदनारे।
मृत्युंजय वृषभध्वज शूलिन गंगाधर मृडमदनारे।
हर शिव शंकर गौरीशं वंदे गंगाधरमीशं।
हर शिव शंकर गौरीशं वंदे गंगाधरमीशं।
रुद्रं पशुपतिमीशानं कलये काशीपुरीनाथं।
रुद्रं पशुपतिमीशानं कलये काशीपुरीनाथं।
जय शंभो शिव गौरी शंकर जय शंभो।
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 ओम महादेव शिव शंकर शंभो उमाकांत हर त्रिपुरारे।
ओम महादेव शिव शंकर शंभो उमाकांत हर त्रिपुरारे।
मृत्युंजय वृषभध्वज शूलिन गंगाधर मृड मदनारे।
मृत्युंजय वृषभध्वज शूलिन गंगाधर मृडमदनारे।
हर शिव शंकर गौरीशं वंदे गंगाधरमीशं।
हर शिव शंकर गौरीशं वंदे गंगाधरमीशं।
रुद्रं पशुपतिमीशानं कलये काशीपुरीनाथं।
पशुपतिमीशानम् कलये काशीपुरीनाथम्।
जय शंभो शिव गौरी शंकर जय शंभो।
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 ॐ गणानां त्वा गणपतिगं हवामहे कविं कवीनामुपमश्रवस्तमम् ज्येष्ठराजं ब्रह्मणां ब्रह्मणस्पत आनः शृण्वन्नोतिभिः सीदसादनम्। ॐ महागणपतये नमः। ॐ निधये सर्वविद्यानां भिषजे भवरोगिणां गुरवे सर्वलोकानां दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। ॐ नमः प्रणवार्थाय शुद्धज्ञानैकमूर्तये निर्मलाय प्रशान्ताय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। ॐ अगजानन पद्मार्कं गजाननमहर्निशम् अनेकदन्तं भक्तानां एकदन्तमुपास्महे। ॐ ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। ॐ तत्पुरुषाय विद्महे महादेवाय धीमहि तन्नो रुद्रः प्रचोदयात्। ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavasishyate. Shanti Shanti Shanti. Shruti Smriti Puranam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavat Padam Shankaram Lokashankaram Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayam Sutrabhashya Kritau Vande Punah Punah Ishvaro Gururatmedi Murti Veda Vibhagine Vyomavadvyaptadehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha. Shanti Mantra. Om Apyayantu Mamangane Vak Pranashchakshushrotramatho Balamindriyani Cha Sarvani Sarvam Brahma Upanishadam Maham Brahma Nirakuryam Mama Brahma Nirakaro Anirakaranamastu Nirakaranam me astu Tadatmani Nirateya Upanishatsu Dharma Te Mai Santo Te Mai Santo Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So after the Upadesha of Tattvamasi, the Shravanam part is complete. The Mananam, where various doubts may arise in our mind, either from our own experience or on account of what we have learned from other sources. So, in this case, Shvetagatu raises questions or doubts which may not necessarily be his doubts, but using possible doubts. So, he may present the views of Nayayikas or the Charvakas or Vainashikas. So sometimes we wonder what sort of question is this person asking. But he is deliberately asking these questions, taking the positions of these different philosophers, because their teaching was current. Well, you can imagine maybe he also has the samskaras of all kinds of philosophies existing, or one may have that. So here is the question. Now, how come we are all conscious beings and inspired and attain our own Swarupa, which is Sat, deep sleep state? When we are conscious beings, how come we do not know that we have attained the state of being Sat or existence? This is kind of like a Vainashika. We've been saying how the Vainashikas say that there is no consciousness in deep sleep state. And therefore, there is no existence in deep sleep state. So let us say that Shvetaketu is assuming their position and asking for an evidence or for at least a reasoning. Because manana means resolving doubts. Doubt is a conclusion that arises in somebody's mind. And the conclusion is because of some process of reasoning. And when we see the defect in that process of reasoning, then we realize that that conclusion also is wrong. Then you can let go of that conclusion. So here also somebody may arrive at the conclusion that there is no existence in deep sleep state. Had there been existence, there would be consciousness, in which case we would know that Sat Sampadhyamaheti, that we have attained the state of Sat of existence, because we are conscious being and therefore conscious of what we are experiencing. There is no consciousness, and therefore a question may arise whether or not there is existence in deep sleep state. And so, also because there is no distinction, the reason why in deep sleep state we are not aware of ourselves because we are not aware of our individuality. We say that we are aware of ourselves in the waking state is because we are aware of the individuality, understand, in waking state. Again I say that I am in the dream state also because I am aware of the individuality. So my criterion of the conclusion that I'm existent, that I am, is when I'm aware, and that is the awareness of my individuality and awareness of things around me. In Vedanta we call it Vishesha Jnana, Samanya Jnanam and Vishesha Jnanam. Jnanam is consciousness. Samanya unqualified consciousness, Vishesha Jnanam qualified consciousness. For example, gold in its causal state is unqualified. And when you mold it into different forms, it becomes qualified by names and forms. So Vedanta says that not that the knowledge disappears, not that knowledge doesn't exist, it becomes unqualified. So in waking state and in dream state we have the qualified consciousness, meaning consciousness of such and such thing. That I know a name and form when I am interacting in the world. Or I know the name and form myself, the individual, when I'm with myself. So that is qualified consciousness. But that qualified consciousness is not in deep sleep state. Because the instruments they are required for making consciousness qualified. You say in the morning, you require the sense organs to be conscious of the names and forms, particular aspect. So understand this, what is his existence? What is his unqualified existence? What is called creation? Creation is that unqualified existence or sat becomes as though qualified by names and forms. So what is the sat only? But now what we experience is the qualified sat as though qualified by names and forms. And therefore, we have also the awareness of the Sat as qualified by names and forms. We are only aware of Sat because that's all there is. In the waking state, we are aware of Sat as qualified by names and forms. And therefore, the Chit or the awareness also is qualified. And therefore, we know a tree, we know a book, we know a table, etc., which are name and form. The deep sleep state, what happens is, all the qualifying instruments all merge. It is the sense organs that perceive name and form with the mind. So as you said in the morning, only when the sense organs of perception and the mind are there that we can perceive the qualifications, particularities of an object, name and form. The deep sleep state, the sense organs and the mind are merged into ignorance. They're unmanifest. Not that they're destroyed, but then from the manifest state, unmanifest. And therefore, there is nothing that can make us aware of the qualification of name and form. So consciousness is there, but there is nothing to qualify the consciousness. Therefore, in deep sleep state, there is unqualified consciousness. Meaning there is no name and form, no visheshta, no qualification. So one may conclude that it is not there. But if our conclusion is that something is there only when it is name and form, something is there only when it is qualified, then when the qualifications and names and forms are not there, we think it is not there. Therefore, one may conclude that in deep sleep state, there is no consciousness, there is no existence. What is not there is qualified consciousness is not there, and qualified existence is not there. If that alone is taken to the nature of things, then one may think that in the deep sleep state, there is no consciousness, no existence. Because had the existence been there, because you are conscious beings, you would know that I have become one with Sat. So therefore the example is given. That just because something is unqualified doesn't mean it ceases to exist. Example was given of various juices available in various trees or flowers. So when the juice is in a mango tree, then it has a particular taste, sweet taste. In a neem tree, it is bitter taste. In lemon tree, it is sour taste. So honeybee picks up all these different juices, which are all qualified, where the distinctions are clear. What is qualified means when the distinctions are clear. In a waking dream state, the distinctions of names and forms are clear. So those juices, the distinctions are clear, names and forms are clear. What a honeybee does is, it takes all these qualified juices and converts them to unqualified honey. What is honey? Where the qualifications or distinctions of all the juices is lost. That doesn't mean they are not there. The juices do not cease to exist, except the distinction ceases to exist. The qualification ceases to exist. Very brilliant example. So just as in honey, it is not because honey would not be there if the juices are not there. What is honey? The juices transform in honey. So honey is there means you know the juices are there. The same time in honey, there is no way for you to recognize that this is from lemon tree, this is from mango tree, etc. The distinction is not there. Indistinct juices are there. Similarly, in deep sleep state, all that happens is you lose just the distinction. That Vyagra has a distinction. Waking state, so here, Vyagra va, Simho va, Vruko va, Vraho va, Kito va. Waking state, all distinctions are there. Vyagra, this is a tiger. Simho, this is a lion. So tiger knows I am a tiger. I mean, whatever word it uses in its own mind, it knows I am so and so because it, as I say, when it sees a tiger, behaves in one way. Sees something other than tiger and behaves in a different way. Either it's a prey, so it attacks. It's a lion and it run away, something like that. So from the responses of all these creatures, we know that in some way they have this self-consciousness, which is there in the waking state. They also may have the dream state, I guess. Dog also may be dreaming, I do not know, possible. We have the mind, but then maybe a dream can take the human mind with all kinds of problems. And so maybe a dog doesn't need to dream because there isn't any conflicts and any complexes and problems. I do not know. Whether the psychologists know this or not, whether this investigation is carried out or not, whether these creatures are dream or not, it's not very important to us. Waking and sleep, that is the example here. So then, in the deep sleep state, how all these creatures who enjoy distinctions when they're awake lose those distinctions doesn't mean they cease to exist. Why? Because when they wake up, again, same tiger and same lion comes back. Says, yad yad bhavanti tat abhavanti. When the tiger went to sleep, when he wakes up, again he wakes up as a tiger in the same body. Now, this is something amazing. Because in deep sleep state, there is no distinction at all. When you just state where the distinction of tiger and lion, etc., is not there, when you wake up, how come you wake up in the same body? Suppose 15 people are sleeping, side by side. Then when they all go to sleep, when they wake up, will it not happen this fellow wakes up in that body, this fellow in this? This kind of confusion can happen or not? Does not happen. Why is so? Because when you go to deep sleep also, you go with the vasana. What is vasana? I am so and so, which arises from identification with the given body. Meaning that identification with the given body is existence and manifest, not gone away. So the waking state from unmanifest to the manifest. And therefore that vasana also becomes manifest, meaning identification with the given body. Therefore he wakes up in the same body. Now this Upanishad says a similar situation happens even at the time of death. The same similar merger happens. Asya soumya pravato manusyasya purushasya. When a person is dying, they observe Vang manasa sampadyate manah prane pranastevasi tejas parasyam devatayamiti. Simple experiment. These are statements. So when you watch a dying person, so he's talking. That means the speech, organ of speech is functioning, is there. Then what happens? He stops talking. So, but he's still thinking. He can still hear you. He can respond to you. So speech is not there, but the mind is functioning. So Vang Manasa Sampadyate. The speech has merged into the mind. When a time comes when it is conscious, which means the mind is there, then you find it unconscious. It's still alive. How do you say alive? Because it's breathing. Manaf prana. Meaning mind is merged into prana because it's breathing. When a time comes that it stops breathing also. People don't take him to smashan right away, they feel. The body is warm, he's still alive. So prana is gone. Tejas, this fire is there, prana tejasi. And then when the body becomes cold, they know that he is no more there. Tejas parsyam devatayam. So where did he has merged into parsyam, he has merged into sat. So just as in deep sleep state we merge into sat, the death also we merge into sat. In pralaya, pralaya means what? When the entire universe goes to sleep. So when we go to sleep, it is daily laya. When the universe goes to sleep, pralaya. Same thing happens. So the situation existing, deep sleep state, in death and pralaya is similar as far as the merger of distinctions is concerned. As far as the lack of distinction is concerned. So then what happens after death? So would you wake up in the same body? What body is left here? So what happens to a jivatma when he dies? It's not that a lion will necessarily born as a lion. Although when he dies, he goes with vasana of a lion. But it's not that a lion is born as a lion. A Jiva-atma gains the next embodiment according to its karma. So therefore, when this Jiva called lion or tiger or XYZ departs from this body, at least it departs with the vasana, I am the body. You follow? The identification of the body, that vasana is there because of ignorance. And therefore, in the next birth also he is born with identification as a body. You follow? That vasana of identification with the body remains. What is the body? That is determined by karma. So what the next embodiment is determined by the most predominant karma. So when a jiva departs from this human form, the whole program is charted out for the jiva until it comes back to another human form. Because the karma actually determines swakarma bhutena javena nita. The karma becomes like a messenger, a pilot that leads him from one birth to the other. So when this jiva-atma departs from this given body, whatever the most predominant karma that determines what the next embodiment is, which is where the jiva-atma exhausts those predominant karma. Not a punya karma, he gets a devayoni. Not a papa karma, he gets adhoyoni, like the birds and animals, etc. Balance of karma, he may get the human embodiment. For us it is academic, but then this is how the karma and the accounting is done. And then, so what body he gets is determined by the karma. But because he departed from here with identification of the body, therefore he is born with identification of the body. So when we are born with identification of the body because that's the vasana we had. Whichever body we are in, we are identified with that. So when those predominant karmas are exhausted in that embodiment, then whatever is now waiting, the next predominant karma, X7, is another body, another body. And finally, when a certain balance is reached, he comes back to human body. So every jiva will come back today or tomorrow and start again like a ninja. So that, anyway, whatever their samskaras are there. If you went to heaven, has a samskara, the bhoga, pleasures, he comes back with again these samskaras or a tendency of enjoyment of pleasure. So then that's what he wants. He starts performing karma here so that he can go to Swarga back. So it's called yata yata. You go and come back. Evam tridam praman gatagatam kama kama labhante gatagatam. Goes and comes back. Samskara of naraka. Then he will do all that, those kind of karma. So whatever samskara, that's how you find different human beings behaving differently because all samskaras are different. But identification and embodiment is common. That vasana is there. So this is how Vedanta seeks to explain the continuity of life. Understand, life does not get destroyed. The subtle body remains. The gross body is a result of karma, which you get and you leave and then get another one. The subtle body continues from one gross body to the other. That's called jiva. Who is jiva? The consciousness self identified with the subtle body. So just as wherever the bucket of water is there, that water will reflect the sun or the light object, similarly also wherever the subtle body is, it will reflect the consciousness, so it's always enlivened by consciousness. Anyway, this is for your general information because that kind of a topic comes here. So that is how teacher explains that in the deep sleep state, it is not that there is non-existence, it is only absence of distinctions. Why do you say? Because when you are awake, the same distinctions come back, you follow? The fact that same distinctions return when you wake up, that shows that they were potentially there in the deep sleep state also. Which means that existence was very much in deep sleep state also. So, and therefore, hey, then the teacher says, same vakya is repeated. Sa esha anima aitadapinam saram tat satyam sa atma tattvamasi shvedagetu. Saha yaha esha animna. Saha that. Which one? That sat in the deep sleep state, from which you come back. That alone is this Atma. That is Satyam. That is Atma. That is who you are. So second time the same Upadesha is given. Except in each case, Saha Yaha Eshaha. That Saha keeps on changing the meaning. What is Saha? What is immediately preceding? What immediately preceded the deep sleep state? What existed there? That Sat is Sat only. But earlier Sat was Jagat Karanam. Because after that he was told that you are that. Now what is Sat? Sat is that which obtains a deep sleep state, that from which these fellows come out as jivas again. That Sat is Animna, that is subtle essence, that is Satyam, that is Atma, that is who you are. So now, so then again he says, Bhuyo ma Bhagavan Vijnapayadvaiti. Another question comes in his mind. So may the Venerable Sir explain to me again with an illustration. Tatha Somya, okay Somya, may it be so. So what is the doubt now? So Bhashyakara explains. As I said, what the doubt is, you have to understand from what Shankaracharya says. Yatha loke swakiye gruhe supta utthaya gramantaram gataha. Just as in your day-to-day life, a person is in a given village, let us say, in his home, and he slept at night in his home in a village. Supta utthaya, he wakes up next morning. Gramantaram gataha, he goes to another village. Having spent the night in this village and having woken up next morning, imagine that he goes to another village. Janati swagruhat agatosmiti. But he knows that I have come from that house. You follow? When he goes to another village or another house, he does remember that I was sleeping in the I have come from that house. I come from where I was sleeping. But then, when all these jivas are sleeping in the sat, in the deep sleep state, all right, we understand that when they are fast asleep, because the mind and sense organs are not functioning, therefore there is no knowledge of distinction, therefore he doesn't know that we have merged into sat at that time. But when you wake up, then all sense organs and mind are functioning, isn't it? Then should not they remember that we have come from sat? So when you wake up next morning, now your faculties are functioning. All distinctions are, Vishesha Jnanam is there, all distinctions are known. Should you not remember now that we come from Sat? Satah Akatosmi iti. So when you go to next morning another place, you remember that I have come from that place where I was. Similarly, when you wake up in the morning, you should not remember that I have come from Sat where I was sleeping. I was sleeping in that house and I remember that's where I have come from. At night I was sleeping in Sat, so should I not remember when I wake up in the morning? So still the Shunyavadis are not over. If the consciousness was there, then you should remember that I have come, because your claim is that time you did not know that I am merged in Sat because your sense organs and mind are not functioning. When you wake up, then they are functioning. Should you not remember that you came from Sat? We don't. So is there Sat? Did you exist in deep sleep? You follow? So Shvetaketu takes up this doubt and says to the teacher, Venerable Sir, please explain to me again, how come when we wake up in the morning that we do not remember that we have come from Sat? So now, Tatha Somya, my dear, may it be so. And the teacher now, in the passage 18, this is all not just reasoning. The stand is given. See, this is the style here. We are giving reasoning based on the stand. So what we are talking here is giving reasoning that is contained in that illustration. Teacher gives illustration. For Shvetake to work out the reasoning and understand. If dry reasoning is given, then perhaps it may be difficult to grasp. But illustration is given, it becomes easier to grasp. So next passage says, Imaha Somyanadhyaha Purastat Prachya Syandande Paschat Patichya Taha Samudrat Samudra Eva Apiyante Saha Samudra Eva Bhavati Taha Yatha Tatra Naviduhu Yamahamasmi Yamahamasmi De. Alright? So, Imaha Somya Nadhyaha. Here Somya, overlooking one. Imaha Prachyaha Nadhyaha. So there are certain rivers which are eastward, which are Gangadhyaha. The Ganga, Yamuna, some of these rivers are eastward. Prachya Sannand. So Purastha Sannande, they flow in the eastern direction. Praticha Paschat, some westward rivers are there. So they follow in the west direction. Sindhu are there. Sindhu and other rivers flow from east to west. Ganga and other rivers flow from west to just example. What I'm saying different. The point is that there are many rivers all flowing in different directions. From east to west, west to north to south. Because the ocean is around in all the three directions. So rivers go in all directions. Just an example. How rivers, different rivers, flowing in different directions. And they're all aware. I'm Ganga, I'm Yamuna, I'm Sindhu. Taha samudrat samudrameva apiyante. They go from ocean to ocean. So let us say samudrameva apiyante. All of these rivers, in fact, they merge into the sea. It's common. So illustration must be that which is common knowledge. Understand? In the teacher says, just as the rivers flowing eastward merge into ocean. What is a river, sir? Suppose you never knew what river is. What is east? What is flowing? Then the illustration would not work. What is called Drishtanta is something that is known to both the parties and accepted by both the parties. I don't accept the river merge into ocean. Suppose. Then this example will not work. So Drishtanta is sarva sammatam. It must have the sammati or the agreement of all concerned. Sometimes even in Drishtanta those are questions. Then you have to elaborate the Drishtanta. It's not here the list is very simple. But then in Manduke Karika, when the teacher says that the dream is mithya, because you see mountains and rivers in the dream, where the dream takes place in a nerve which is finer than even hair. So how can it accommodate all this samvatattva and hetuna? And also when you wake up, then those things are not there. Therefore, these two reasons are given as to the dream is really just an appearance, not reality. So dream is become. So why is dream presented as a drishtanta to explain waking? You follow? If you understand dream, then you can understand waking. If dream is mithya, then teacher will follow. Taking dream as an example, teacher will explain how the waking also is mithya. So who says dream is mithya? Who says the elephant and mountain, the dream is not real? It is real. Somebody says. Now you to then, that means he doesn't accept an example of dream as mithya. Then you have to explain how elephant, mountains, etc. are there or not there, etc. So, and then after several arguments, because the different points are raised about, there are people who think that dream is real. I dreamt Canada, I went to Canada and then I did it. So, then you have to argue and convince him that it could not have been possible. Anyway, all I'm saying is that sometimes there is a dispute about Drishtanta. In which case, a Drishtanta cannot convey what you want to convey to the other person. So, Drishtanta illustration must be that about which there is no dispute, but which there is a common agreement. So, fortunately, everybody knows there are rivers flowing in all different directions, merging into ocean. And Samudra eva bhavanti bhavati sah. The river becomes what? Samudra. When river merges into ocean, before merger there is a distinction that this is Ganga, Yamuna, Saraswati, etc. When the river merges into ocean, the distinction is gone. Then what is it? I'm Samudra. See? No, this example is given elsewhere for a different reason, which we will not go into right now because we are running out of time. But what is meant by river becomes ocean, meaning that the riverness is gone. The river is no more there. Is the river no more there? When the river merges into ocean, is the river destroyed or not? Is there Ganga in there? When you go to Prayag, I mean Triveni Sangam, do you see Ganga separately, Yamuna, etc.? Do you see? So in the ocean, there is no Ganga. Ganga is gone, disappeared, destroyed. Is it not so? No? Yeah. No? What is it? What is destroyable gets destroyed. What is not destroyable will not get destroyed. So what is the river? River is water in a given name and form, understand? So what is Ganga? Water in a given name and form. Yamuna, water, that's why flowing eastward, westward. Each river has its own peculiarity, that is its own name. So when the river merges into the ocean, what happens is that all those distinguishing factors, names and forms are gone. That doesn't mean the river, the content of the river is water, understand? So it is water that we call river, not that bank, That is not called river. Water is river, is it not so? And therefore, even when the river merges into the ocean, river doesn't get destroyed. Sarupataya. Only distinction goes, name and form goes. That is why samudrat samudrameva piyanti. That's the reason why when that water in the ocean is now heated by the rays of the sun and that water evaporates, then what happens? Becomes cloud. Then what happens? That cloud is carried away to a long distance by wind into where? The mountains, hundreds of miles away. Again, then it rains. Again Ganga, Yamuna, Saraswati. Again go back. But does this river know that I come from ocean? See, this Ganga, Yamuna, etc. went to ocean. They became ocean. Then they lost that distinction. What is it? Yam Hasmi. When it merged into ocean, it doesn't know. I'm Ganga, I'm Yamuna, I'm Narmada. Yam Hasmi. This Ganga I am, Yamuna I am, Narmada I am. No one knows because the distinctions are gone. But then it comes back. When with the heat of the sun it gets evaporated and then cloud absorbs it and then takes it and then it rains, comes back as Ganga, Yamuna. But that time, does the river know that I come from ocean? When the thing is flowing from there, it doesn't know that I come from ocean. You see? So when it is in the ocean, it loses the identity that I'm Ganga, etc. Therefore, even when it comes away from ocean and then starts flowing, it does not remember that I come from ocean. See example here that when you lose your identity, your distinction, then in the ocean there is no identity of Ganga, Yamuna, Saraswati, Godavari, etc. Therefore, that thing does not remember that I have come from ocean. Not the river got destroyed, not that there was no river in the ocean, and not that the river has not come from ocean, except that because the river lost its identity in the ocean, therefore it does not remember that I have come from ocean. So just because the river does not remember that I have come from Samudra, Samudrameva piyanti, from Samudra it goes to Samudra. From sleep we go to sleep. You follow? From sleep to the waking to sleep. Sleep to waking to sleep. So why sleep? Like ocean, we merge. Lose our identity. Come waking, again gain the identity. But we don't remember where we came from sleep. Just as the river also loses the identity when it's in ocean. Comes back, does not remember. That does not mean the river did not exist in ocean. If it did not exist, it could never come back. So remembrance is not the evidence of existence. That's the whole idea. Just because river does not remember that I am coming from ocean does not mean it did not exist. Because the same river had gone there. That was called Samudra. And now again it is called river. Similarly also in deep sleep state, just because we lose our identity or distinction does not mean that we did not exist. So two things. That when I am sleeping, at that time I am not aware that I am one with Sat. That does not mean I am not there. Similarly also when I wake up next morning, I do not remember that I come from Sat. That does not mean I did not exist in Sat. So this idea of non-existence of Sat and deep sleep state is presented in two-fold way. If you had existed in deep sleep state, then because you are a conscious being, you should have known that I am one with Sat. Because you're a conscious being, now when you wake up, you have your faculties of mind and intellect, and now at least you should know that I come from Sat. You don't remember, that means you did not exist, says no. Even if I like a river, doesn't remember that I came from the ocean, doesn't mean it existed in ocean. Otherwise it could not have come. If there's no water in the ocean, there would have been no river. So that's the example of the ocean and river is given to explain again there the example of the different juices and the honey was given. Here the example of river and ocean is given. But why, Swamiji? Because the same river comes back, that is why. So in case of that honey and juice, that juice doesn't come back from honey. So that example only worked for merger. In case of river, the river becomes ocean, comes back. So therefore in deep sleep state, become one with Sat and come back again. So just as the river very much exists in the ocean without distinction of Ganga, etc., so also we exist in deep sleep state without distinction of Swami, etc., Vyagram. So same thing. In Vyagrova, Simhova, Rukova, Varahova, Kito, Patang, etc., whatever that thing was, again comes back. The river, Vyagra is a river. Tiger is like a river. Merging into what? Sat, which is like ocean, comes back again as a tiger. So Ganga goes, comes back as Ganga. Yamuna goes, comes back, etc., etc. So these two doubts arose because of this view of the nihilists that there is no existence in deep sleep state. However, the teacher explained how it is very much there. Vedanta doubt is not, we already said earlier that this is all Sat. But those fellows who don't accept scriptures as pramana, for us we don't have problem. When you hear from teachers, then you know. But there are people who don't accept Shabda Pramana. We don't accept scripture. Buddhas don't accept Jains, all they are called Nastikas, meaning they don't accept Veda as a Pramana. So then you have to argue with them in their ground. The thing is that if you want to convince somebody, you must present argument of his own argument and convince him. We won't get convinced by somebody's argument. So Vedanta, when he discusses with a Nayayika, takes the argument of Nayayika and shows him that your thinking is wrong. You follow? What is important is to recognize that there is some fault in thinking. You arrived at a certain conclusion with a thinking process which was faulty, which they don't recognize. Then you have to show how your thinking process is faulty. So thank you. Now then he's convinced. All right. So now what happens in deep sleep state also happens in death. So again, Shvetiketu was told that that step from which you arrived, that alone is this anima, that alone is Satyam, that alone is Atma, that alone is you. Who am I, Bhagavan Vijnabhayatu? Now the fellow has some other argument coming from another fellow. So जीवस्य विनाशित्वाद अविनाशी ब्रह्म भेदो न संभवति. But Jiva is immortal. Because Devadatta Nashtaha, when a person dies, what do we say? Devadatta is gone. There's no. So now this is now coming from a position of what we call the Charvakas or Dehavadina. Those who say that Deha is Atma. There are fellows who say, what is Atma? Body is Atma. Who are they? Charvakas. And who are they? All doctors, by the way. All scientists, everybody. They all say that body is Atma. You are there when body is alive. You are not there, body is not alive. Simple thing. That's the reason why we do not accept next birth, because you are gone. Body dies, Atma is there, where is next birth? And body is born, Atma is born, where is previous birth? So nobody believes. Those who accept body as Atma do not believe and cannot believe in previous birth as well as next birth. So you fellows, Hindus, all this law of karma. What is law of karma? Based on continuity of life. Law of karma is based on and determines that there is continuity of life. That there is other than gross body, there is what we call the jiva or subtle body here. And therefore, the death of the gross body is not the death of this Atma. There is something other than the gross body which enlivens this gross body. That is called subtle body. What is the constituent of subtle body? Anybody remembers? 19 elements make subtle body. What are those 19 things? 5 organs of perception, 5 organs of action, 5 pranas, and manaha buddhi, 9. So manaha and buddhi, 17. Anyway, you can 17, 19, whatever you want to count. But the thing is, this is called subtle. Because you cannot perceive this through your sense organs. Sense organs cannot be perceived by sense organs. Mind cannot be perceived by sense organs. So they are all subtle. This is not these. This is the golaka, means a locus where the faculty of sight functions. But faculty of sight is subtle. Faculty of hearing also is subtle. Manifesting this golaka or locus, which is the gross counterpart. So that's what Vedanta says. That what is death? Death is not the death of the self. Death is merely departure of the subtle body from the gross body. What determines that? What determines that this fellow departs from the... So therefore subtle body As I said, always carries with it the reflection of consciousness. Therefore, subtle body with reflection of consciousness. It's called Jivatma. It's called life. Because it is reflected consciousness that imparts sentience into the subtle body. Like that reflection of the sun imparts like lightness to that water. So even the water itself is not lighted. So subtle body itself is matter, subtle matter, but becomes enlivened because of the presence of the consciousness. So what is death? Death is when this subtle body of jiva, when it departs from the gross body. So what dies? The gross body dies, self does not die, life also does not die. So Vedanta says that there is continuity of life. But since the whole materialist world, which only accepts, the science only accepts two pramana, pratyaksha and anumana, perception and inference. Our Nayayika at least accept Shabda as a pramana. These fellows don't accept scripture as pramana, because their buddhi is a pramana. So anumana means their buddhi. That's all. We know what it is and we can find everything. We don't need anybody else to tell us what is the reality. Vedantins are in a way modest and humble people. We realize that there is a great limitation of human intellect. And that to know anything properly, you have to be omniscient, all-knowing, because everything is interconnected with everything else. And to know one thing, you should know everything, which is no way possible for any human being. So we require a source of knowledge which is Sarvajna or omniscient, which is Ishvara. And therefore, what is Shabda or the Vedas are looked upon as Pramanam or valid means of knowledge because they are revelations of Ishvara. Although everybody believes that our scriptures are revealed by Ishvara. So Christians also say that Bible is a revelation. Let it be. All we can say is that Vedas are revealed scriptures. Rishis or sages are not the creators of the mantras, they are only seers of the mantra. So for us, Jesus Christ may be a sage to whom things are revealed, let us say, X, Y, Z. So we are but the point is, ultimately Pramana, Ishvara is a Pramanam, because he is omniscient, all-knowing. And then his words become Pramanam. That way, the Vedas, which are the words of the scriptures, is called Shabda, is Pramanam. So we accept Shabda as Pramanam. So we don't simply arrive at conclusions about life simply based on our own intellect, where we know it's limited. His knowledge is limited. His capacities are limited. You cannot live life based on a limited means of knowledge because life is a serious matter. And therefore, we accept the Shabda or Veda as Pramanam. We accept their guidance. That's the GPS for us. That we live life as guided by the GPS, the Vedic positioning system, or the Gita, whatever, scriptural positioning system. That is why we accept previous life. We accept continuity of life. So they have a problem, I don't know, because they equate body with the life. Therefore, for them, so scientists accept one thing, continuity of matter they accept. That there is the mass and energy, that is the conservation of mass and conservation of energy. Therefore, there is no destruction and creation of mass and energy. But they have a problem with the conservation of life. Just go a step further. So just as in energy or mass, there is no destruction. It just changes form. Mass changes form, matter sort of. Matter changes form, never dies from one form to the other, or mass to energy, etc. Similarly, also, we say there is continuity of life. And life changes embodiment. Just as matter changes form, life only changes embodiment. From one embodiment to the other. Then only, when the continuity is there, then only law can work. That you are accountable today for what you did in the past. If I was no more there, then what happens? What all things that I do in this life, where do they go? I'm deprived of the outcome of all that I did. If I die, then Atma is destroyed. What happens? Doesn't make sense. So continuity of life is what accounts for the law of karma, which is based on continuity of life. What does it mean? That what I did in the previous embodiment is that jiva, same jiva is in this embodiment, and therefore I'm accountable for what I did then. And I'll become accountable for what I'm doing now, of course. So this is the law of karma, continue. But there are those from Vedic times, always had all kinds of people. Only Charavakas who said body is Atma. So that is now is the next doubt that Shvetaketu has. I think we have to continue with at least this passage. दुष्टम लोके जले विचि तरंग फेन बुद्बुदादय उत्थिताः पुनः तद्भावं कदा विनष्टाः इति. So no, you don't have that unfortunately, because otherwise, as I said, the book would have been very loud. So I'm just reading the connecting link. In this passage and the following passage, there's a question there that from the water emerge the foam, the bubble, etc. They emerge from water and they merge back and they're gone. Looks like the foam is gone, bubble is gone. So what is it? Vichi taranga fen budbudadaha. The wave rises from water, merges back in the water. The, the bubble rises from water, merges back in the water, the foam. Somebody says, no, it is gone, it is destroyed. Vinashtaha iti looks like a wave is destroyed. The bubble is destroyed. Foam, so it looks like when you just look at, look at the perception. Similarly, Atma seems to be dead. If you take the body which is perceived as the Atma, so looks like the bubble, etc., are all dead. Similarly, also, when this Jivatma dies, it's gone. So is it so? Is there an evidence that there is Jivatma, that it does not die, that what dies is body and not the Jivatma? So now, here the teacher has to explain to Shvetaketu, or to those who are the Dehatmavadinaha, those who believe that Deha is Atma, to them we have to illustrate, demonstrate rather, that there is an Atma or Jiva Atma different from the body. That even when the body dies, the Jiva does not die. Again, another brilliant example is given. So let us read the next passage. अस्य सौम्य महतो वृक्षस्य यः मूले अभ्याहन्यात् जीवन श्रवेत् यः मध्ये अभ्याहन्यात् जीवन श्रवेत् यः अग्रे अभ्याहन्यात् जीवन श्रवेत् स एषः जीवेन आत्मना अनुप्रभूतः पेपीयमानः मोदमानः तिष्ठति. Asya Somya Mahato Vrukshasya, the teacher shows a great tree standing in front of them. Asya, of this one, Mahato Vrukshasya, or this big tree. The Mula Abhyan, suppose you strike at the root of this tree, not strike so hard that the tree gets cut, just strike. So there is a cut. So what happens? Now that this tree is alive, that we see. But what is the evidence that the tree is alive? But Anvaya Vyateka, it is shown how do you determine the tree is alive? And when do you determine the tree is dead? So now the teacher makes an experiment. Your mule abhyahanyat. Suppose you strike at the root of the tree. Jivan sravet. Then it exudes. You see a sap from the tree. The sap comes out, but it continues to live. By striking one cut, tree does not die. What we see it is exudes sap, continues to live. You know what it means? It means that the tree is alive. So this presence of the sap is evidence of the tree being alive. You follow? This is Anvaya. When sap exudes, then you know tree is alive. When by striking the sap does not exude, you know tree is gone. Anvaya Vedarika. Then, so again, this rule that the tree is alive when there is sap in there has to be established by more than one, just simply by one instance you cannot arrive at a rule. If you see smoke and fire in one place, you cannot say where there is fire, smoke, there is fire. If you see number of places, then you arrive at the rule, wherever there is smoke, there is fire. Similarly, the teacher says, you madhya abhyahanyat, in the middle, suppose you strike, that also it exudes sap and still living. You agre abhyahanyat, again you cut, you strike at the top, it exudes juice while living. So jivan eva, jivan means while living. Jivan eva, jivan saved. It exudes juice, sap while living. So while living, while living. So three illustrations or three experiments are done. At the root, in the middle, and the top. We find that in each three places we find that tree is alive when it exudes juice or sap. Sesha jivena atmana. So how do you know the tree is alive? The tree is a jiva atma, by the way. That's what also what Vedanta would say. Tree also is a jiva, is a living being. Is a all living beings are 8.4 million varieties are there. And so trees and then all the Vyagra, etc. are there. But then this tree is an example. Tree is also a living entity. Now that everybody accepts because it exudes sap. Otherwise, you don't know that it's living. Not only then teacher says, Esha jivena atmana anuprabhuta epiyamana modamana tishtade. Look at the translation. This one has such pervaded by the individual. So where is this jivatma? It pervades the entire gross body. In this gross body, where is the subtle body? Where is jivatma? Pervades the entire gross body. Therefore there is awareness. If you touch my, little tip over here, you're touching me. Little finger, touching me. Because there is consciousness everywhere. So subtle body pervades the entire gross body. Therefore, the gross body is alive. Then the experiment, now then the teacher says, Asyam ekam shakam jivo jahati. Right now the jiva pervades the entire big tree with a number of branches. So sometimes you find that in a tree, a branch dries up. Have you seen that? How does it happen? Says the Shankaracharya that when the karma of the jiva of remaining in that branch gets exhausted, then jiva departs from that branch dries up. Similarly, some other karma gets exhausted, jiva departs from another branch, that branch dries up. A third branch dries up. And it can happen that when the karma of this tree is exhausted, then the whole tree gets dried up. Then dried up means what? There is no sap. So now the tree is dead because there is no sap. The tree was alive because of exuding sap. But understand this thing, that Only one branch dries when the jiva departs from that branch. You follow? It is there in the rest of the tree. That means the gross body is different from the subtle body. See what we call the viveka. The subtle body is different from gross body. Is shown when the tree is alive and exuding sap, then the gross body we see is there, life also is there. When life departs one by one, if because life pervades the entire tree, that's why the tree is standing there. So happily, continues happily drinking the sap. And now one branch, the jiva departs, one branch dies. Second branch, the jiva departs, second branch dies. Whole tree jiva departs, whole tree dies. So what dies is the tree, not the jivatma. As long as jivatma is there, so long the tree is alive, exuding the sap and remaining alive. And what is it? Even drinking the sap and continues happily. So he is happy, tree is happy. And when the jivatma departs from the tree, then the tree dies. So this is an experiment by which it is shown how the tree which is gross body and the jivatma who resides in the tree, that jivatma is different from the tree which is gross body. When jivatma is in the tree, so long the tree is alive. That is why they explain the branch. That if jiva leaves one branch, that branch dries up. That gross body gone. Second branch, that branch dries up. Entire tree dries up. Even Somya, Jiva Pedam Vavakelavadam Mrita. Similarly, here Somya, this one also dies when Jiva departs from here. So alive because of presence of Jivatma. When Jivatma departs, this one dies. Meaning that the death of the body is not the death of Atma. Something continues to live. The body is alive because of the Jivatma in there, subtle body, and therefore it is just the gross body that dies, not that Atma dies. And therefore the death of the body is not the death of the Atma, because Atma continues. So this is how that this Dehatmavadina who say Deha is Atma, so they are replying that there is something other than Deha, within the Deha, called the subtle body, called the Jiva, which is because of which the gross body is alive, which when departs, the gross body becomes lifeless. So the gross body is alive, when Jivatma is present, becomes dead means lifeless when Jivatma departs. Therefore, death of the body is not the death of Atma. So this was the question of Dehatmavadi, which Shvetiketu raised, and the father explained how body is not the Atma, Atma is someone different from the body. Okay. Same again, that because of which the body is alive. Yes, sa yaha esha anima. That is consciousness, and that is satyam, and that is Atma, and that's who you are. So third time Tattvamasi. First time Sat. Second time, this is fourth time. Second time Madhu. Third time reverse. Fourth time the tree. How many times? 9 times. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavasishyate Om Shanti 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 Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Madarayanam Sutrabhashya Krutau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punah Ishvaro Gururatmedi Murti Bheda Vibhagine Vyomavadyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Hari Om Tomorrow we have two classes, by the way. One class at 9 o'clock, other class will be 11, not 11:15, but 11 o'clock. Because we'll be concluding right with this Guru Dakshina, which will require some time. So tomorrow have some nice coffee, etc. Be prepared for a little longer side because so much remains to be done. And we have to finish it. We will. And then be ready. Have one more cup of coffee. In between, of course, there'll be some coffee. And so keep awake. Don't keep on dozing and yawning and stuff. Where sit in front of me and keep on yawning. It's miserable thing. But so then don't sit in front of me. Sit away somewhere. If you're yawning, you can